This fight was on DAZN, so only still images will be used of the fight since DAZN copyright strikes videos with any footage. There will be limited images used as well because they also copyright strike videos that only use still images, so the full film study with footage will be on my Patreon. So the first thing I want to talk about is how in the first fight, Usyk came in with a number of tools to dismantle Fury's oppressive long guard. In my film study on the first fight, we talked about how Usyk used constant high and low feints to make Tyson Fury follow him with his guard and burn his arms out. Usyk also used these constant high and low feints to pressure Fury and find openings to his body. Usyk would also parry Fury's long guard in all directions to create openings. And lastly, Usyk would mix up looping punches around Fury's long guard to vary his attacks and keep himself unpredictable. These four strategies allowed Usyk to render one of Fury's best weapons useless, and I believe was his key to victory. And in the second fight, we saw more of the same. When Tyson Fury showed his long guard, Usyk used the same constant high and low feints to pressure Fury and burn his arm out so he could attack either above or below Fury's extended arm. He used the same tactic of parrying Fury's long guard out of the way to create openings. And he also mixed in looping punches that go around the extended long guard. Now my big question going into the rematch was what, if anything, was Fury going to do to counter Usyk's strategy against his long guard? We see from the previous examples that Fury might not have had an answer to it since Usyk was still successful using the same anti-long guard strategies. However, in the early to mid rounds, Fury did have an adjustment for this. Fury would show his long guard to bait Usyk's high and low feints. When Usyk starts the feints, Fury would take a step back to create distance, and he would retract his long guard. This means Usyk doesn't have a long guard to counter, and he is now feinting in open space. Realizing this, Usyk would stop to reset, and as he's resetting, Fury would launch an attack, making use of his large reach advantage. Now this worked on several other occasions, leading to some of the middle rounds being Fury's best rounds, but after the middle rounds, Usyk caught on to this and stopped falling for it. Instead of going to his high and low feints, Usyk started going straight into punches when he saw Fury retract his long guard. The thing is, since Fury is now just showing his long guard as a bait, and no longer actually using the long guard, Fury negates his big reach advantage, since Usyk is now freely closing distance. This means Usyk was able to make use of his size disadvantage and stamina advantage to outwork Fury in the pocket and steal rounds. The reason we see some of the examples shown earlier of Usyk countering Fury's long guard take place in the later rounds is because Fury was forced to start actually using his long guard again, and Usyk would be one step ahead of him and would be ready with the counters again. And lastly, Fury did make another notable adjustment going into the rematch. He knew in the first fight he allowed Usyk to dictate the pace too much and allowed Usyk to push him back, despite him being the smaller fighter. In the rematch, Fury tried to be more aggressive, coming forward more, imposing his size advantage, and he did this behind his jab. In the first fight, Fury clearly began to run out of gas late in the fight, and while he may have come into the rematch in better shape, coming forward more actually allowed him to conserve his energy better, since moving backwards is much more energy consuming than moving forward. There were several occasions where Usyk would try to escape out to the weak side, but Fury would be ready and would cut him off with a left hook, a collision punch as Keith Thurman would say.
As the bag represents your opponent, you want your opponent to come into the punch. You want your opponent to come into the punch.
However, like I said, despite these adjustments from Fury, Usyk still managed to outwork Fury and make many rounds swing his way. He managed to once again counter Fury's long guard, as well as outbox him and outwork him in punching range. And still. And that's going to do it for this one. Thank you to all my GOAT tier patrons, Jason Mahinan, Grant Gabriel, Albert Chen, Gostali Geza, Marshall Bott, Jesus Galindo, Nyan Valdez, MSM Neil, RC, Daniel Contreras, Lionel Johnson, Val Ravenheim, Jacob McMillan, JJJR, Sua, Maxwell Hodge, Josiah Rozier, Braden Sosa, Defensive Genius, and my channel member Lucas Miller. You guys all keep the channel going, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.